Hi students, today I'm going to introduce to you the materials that we'll be working with throughout this semester, are blocks. The blocks are basic forms that we use to do all of our drafting. This here is an example of the basic bodice, which comes from your dress form. This is the front, and this is your basic bodice in the back. What these blocks correspond to are measurements that we have taken from the dress form. In the next lesson, we'll go over how we actually would draft those, but for now I just want to show you this here. We're always going to be working on the left side of the form, or if you are wearing the garment, on the right side of your body. So it's always going to be on just one half of the garment as we build out our initial styles. Every time we draft everything on the table, it will be the same. One of the critical things here, so this aligns to the seam line here on your dress form. It's called the center front. This aligns to this curved area here, aligns to the curve of the neckline. You notice that the curve goes all the way up to the actual seam line of the dress form itself. This section here aligns to the seam line of the dress form. You will notice that it is not square like a football player, it has an angle. The reason that that is we have on the human body what's called a shoulder slope. Notice how the garment hangs off of us. That is created here, that angle. Notice if I were to hold a ruler straight out in space, from shoulder point to shoulder point, we would have this angle of space here. We'll talk about that more on the flat. So, and then we have here, this line corresponds to the bust line across the dress form. You'll be learning this more throughout the semester in this class and in draping. But this is an imaginary line that goes all around the body that is aligned with this apex, the center of the bust form. And then naturally there is shape to the human body, so you wouldn't just be able to spray on a piece of fabric. We'll be working with woven fabric throughout the semester. There will be excess here which will create this dart area. A couple of key things I want to mention about the dress form, language that we'll be using throughout the semester. This line down here in the front of the form is called the center front. We have its mirror image. There's a seam down the back of the form. This is called the center back, which is this line here on the back bodice. The point at which your neck joins with the shoulder, it's the highest point on a garment. This point right here. This is called your high point shoulder. The armhole area you can see in this curve here. How we can tell which is the front and which is the back is a notch. A notch is going to be this little indication here, a little clip into the block. All the front pieces will have a single notch. The back pieces will have two, a double notch. That's how we can always tell which is the front and which is the back. Single for the front, two, double for the back. The seam down here, a lot of people will often use this as a guide for their princess line. We'll be drafting princess lines later on in the semester. This point here where the actual center of the bust line is called the apex, meaning the center of that bust line.